If you want to learn from the greatest art teacher in the world, check out Visual Storytelling by Bill Perkins only at New Masters Academy, the world's absolute #1 online art school. Click the link down below for a free 7-day trial. Thank you, New Masters Academy. I am deep in your mind. I am deep in your... Hey everybody, welcome back to the Honey and Absinthe After Hours Podcast. We're your hosts. I'm Vince, in the background designer for the Hollywood animation industry.
And I'm Janet, the ex-Disney artist turned independent creator, and this is a podcast about all things art, business, and whatever we feel like.
Now today we're going to talk about, is 2022 going to be different for us creators?
But before we get into it, make sure to jingle, touch, flick all our bells and buttons.
Oh, touch it over
Please
there.
And thank you.
Oh, Merry Christmas, everyone.
Almost end of the year.
Merry Christmas, everybody. 2021, say goodbye to 2021. Hello to 22,
Hello.
just like 21.
Oh.
Wah, wah. We hope you have a Merry Christmas.
You're going to have a great holiday season because you're here with us. Mm-hmm.
It's a very, very interesting, crucial, pivotal moment in movies just happened this weekend. And it is, did Spider-Man do well? The big question on everybody's mind. Is it over for the film industry? Or can we recover? Is there light at the... Is this movie light at the end of the tunnel? Maybe we can finally see a big blockbuster showing again. You think it's possible? I
think not.
What?
Yeah. So, we noticed there's like everyone in this like pop culture sphere, anyone who reviews movies, they're all hyping this movie up, and everyone's asking this question: is Spider-Man gonna be big, and how big? And it's drumming up all this FOMO, and it just kind of like pissed me off a little bit, because I'm like, who says Spider-Man's gonna be big? That's like a weird prediction out of nowhere.
I know. I've been telling her all week. You don't understand. This isn't just a Spider-Man movie. This is the ultimate member movie. Yes. This is the ultimate member movie. I feel like all the criticism people had for Ghostbusters being a member movie, I don't know. I haven't seen the movie, but I just feel like, even I want to watch it just so I can see Goblin and Octavius and the remember Tubby McCoy, remember you coffee, remember.
See, when you were telling me that, I was like, okay, then the critics better hate this movie.
Oh, it has a 90-something.
Because like, if you hated Ghostbusters, why don't you hate this member-berry of a movie?
This movie's special somehow.
Oh, okay.
It has more heart than Ghostbusters.
Oh. That's going to be a high bar to top in my book.
Okay.
But because I am a casual, and I know how I feel about it, I'm judging it by the trailer. I don't care about the FOMO. I don't care about the hype. I don't care about like the nostalgia, because I didn't really grow up with it the way like you did. Like, you saw a lot of the older Spider-Man movies in theaters.
I was there for the Tobey Maguire ones. I saw Spider-Man 2 in theaters. The train scene. Oh, I wept, man.
Oh my god.
I wept, man.
I kind of grew up with the Andrew Garfield one.
My English teacher even said, like, he thinks that Batman Begins is better than Spider-Man 2, and at the time I was like, you're fucking crazy. You're insane. That Spider-Man 2 is so good. Spider-Man 2 is really good, but Batman Begins is also very, 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 very good.
Well, I don't care for the franchise the way you care for the... Like, you're not even a comics book.
What were you into
nerd.
At the time?
Anime.
Oh, jeez, of course.
K-dramas, K-pop, J-pop, J-rock. Like, all the things that are popular now, that everyone suddenly, like, what made me a loser before, but now suddenly is really popular.
Janet, I knew and loved anime before it was cool. Jan.
Yes. Pirated it as a, like, little 11-year-old. Yeah, so I didn't grow up, I don't have that same, like, I don't care about seeing these old actors look like dads in, this new, remember? But then, like, they look like dads now. It's just kind of sad. So, like, the trailer didn't pique my interest all that much, and was just like, for it to do well, and even doing well is not going to be enough for Disney, it would have to beat Black Widow. So I was like, okay, I think it's probably on the low end, I'll probably do about 80 million. And then I think high end, I'll probably maybe do 100. And everyone's thinking, 200 million? I really don't think so. That's like...
I don't think any movie came close to 200 million this year.
Maybe like Fast 9. But you were like, no way. What were your predictions of the numbers?
I'm a little bit more generous. I really think it could make 90 million to 120.
Okay.
I will be very pleasantly surprised, but also, I don't know. I can see why it could make more than 120 million, but that's like really a steep...
Yeah.
That's a steep number.
I don't know where all these people are like, oh, it might do 200 million. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
Man, it's possible.
No, I don't think so.
The youths, and they got the youths and the youngs. I think I think this movie just made a lot of money. I mean, it's 2 days before Monday now. We don't know, but like I think probably made a lot of money.
Well, I don't think it can make.
But do you think you're right? Do you think?
I think I'm right.
Oh, okay.
So if I am right, I get the benefit of telling everyone I told you so. If I am wrong, I'm gonna have to go watch this movie.
So more than $100 million.
Yes.
You think?
If it makes more than $100 million, then
you think it's gonna make less than $100 million?
Yes.
Okay.
So. For opening weekend, that's what we're betting on, because they'll probably eventually cross 100 million.
Yeah, it's Monday. I want to know Monday's numbers after the weekend.
Yes.
And if it's under 100.
Yes. Because, so like, we made these bets before we kind of like did some research, but then after the fact, I was wondering, how much did the Spider-Man movie before this one make on opening weekend? Opening weekend numbers were like 80 something, I think. Or 90 something, I don't remember. And that was pre-pandemic numbers. So I was like, why is everyone saying this might make 200 million? I don't understand, because there's no track record here for it to make that much, even post pre-pandemic. So I was like, that's ridiculous. My gut, I think, is not wrong, because I don't feel excited for this movie. It does feel like a member-berry movie, and it feels like it's their last chance to hook us with something. And I just don't care. I don't know why I don't care. I just don't care. I mean, I think if like any of our group, if we actually hung out with friends, like, or like, pre-pandemic life, we actually went out into like the movie theater with a big group of friends and watched this, I think that would have FOMO'd me into watching it. But like, there's no reason for me to. So I think a lot of people like me are gonna miss this movie. And I think that's what Disney needs in order to be successful a lot of times. They need the casuals like me to get dragged into the theater by their super fans.
Do you think that's what happened with some of Shang-Chi?
Yes. I think that's what happened with every single Disney movie to date. Recent ones. Like all the Marvel movies. Like, I wouldn't have watched a lot of those Marvel movies if it weren't for you, or like people who dragged me to go watch it. And I think the fact that, as much as people want to hate on like Star Wars, like the new trilogy, like what Disney did understand is like for them to be able to get girls to go watch a Star Wars and or Marvel comic book movie, which both tend to be very like boy centric. I think that's how they were able to make billion-dollar movies. If you exclude half the population just because you're a girl, you probably don't like this. But imagine just getting everyone. You get the men who would obviously go watch it no matter what, but then also like their wives, their sisters, their friends.
For the Raylo.
Yeah, for the Raylo.
Oh, boy.
Specifically. Which, hate it or love it. That's
what you get.
They definitely took your money.
I think Spider-Man... I get the vibes from Ghostbusters. That maybe that this time they're like, we're trying really, really hard, super hard. like super duper duper hard.
We'll see.
But then at the end of this, then what though?
Yeah.
You know, that's my question. It's just like, okay, so you made it possible for literally almost any movie to just come out of thin air. At this point, X-Men.
Yeah.
They could probably bring out any old reason, like, oh, this is why Hugh Jackman's in this universe now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that's like the only thing left, but I don't know. It doesn't sound like they're up to doing the X-Men anytime soon.
Yeah, or there are too many cooks in the kitchen and they don't know what to do with it yet because they're all arguing about where it should go.
We were going through a lot of topics, and I asked you eventually, is it going to look different for people who are creative next year? Because I feel a lot of us were constrained by the lockdowns. You know, usually a lot of us are vendors or performers or, do some sort of public something mm-hmm. to make a little bit of money on the side.
Yeah.
And now we have to rely completely on the internet
mm-hmm.
with art classes, courses, merchandise, entertainment, all this stuff. And I was thinking, should people evolve? Should people hold out hope? What should people do? Because I am not really sure what people should do. I know I am going to just make stuff. I think that's the best thing to do. In times of trouble, what do? You make stuff.
You let it be. You were asking me, I feel like you randomly just asked me while we were trying to come up with topics, are things going to be different next year? And then I was like, no. That's exactly how I answered you. No. I really don't think so. And I was really amused by that question. Because, why would you ask that? But every single time you ask me a question, I realize, normal people think this way, too, most likely. So I'm like, there are people who are asking that question of themselves, too. Right this second. Are things going to get better? Are things going to change next year? Hoping that things will change next year or sometime down the line soon, hopefully. And I was like, no, of course it's not. I have come to terms with the fact that it's going to be like this for a very long time. And there's not going to be any light at the end of the tunnel.
Jeez. For
at least 8 years. And where I come from that is I think about 2008 a lot. When that is the earliest thing we as young millennials can remember, where things hit the fan with the economy, ruining a lot of our hopes and plans for the future as young teenagers at the time. I was a junior in high school and you were a senior. And I remember how bad times were, that not only that year in 2008, but the 8 years after that. And I don't know if people at that time were thinking, oh, next year's totally going to be different. It's going to be fine. Everyone was saying it's going to take a long time to recover from this. And so I started thinking about, there's actually a lot of similarities between now and 2008. Even though, technically the pandemic happened in 2020, late 2019. Yeah. So it's been, a year, almost
2 years.
2 years now from the incident. But, think of 2010. That's 2 years after 2008. Were things that much different? No.
Kind of similar to right now.
Yeah. We're just kind of in this weird limbo state where things are not that great, and they're not going to be that great for a while, for a really long time. And I would say there's a difference between when things actually get better versus when things feel like they're getting better. And 2016 was the year I finally felt like things were getting better. Because up until that point, I had gone to college. It was really struggled to get internships, actually. And then after I graduated, really struggled to find work until 2016, when things started feeling like things were improving finally. And that was 8 years. 8 years since 2008. So for people to hold out hope is kind of silly. And so like in 2008, there were no jobs, or people were losing their jobs, versus now there's plenty of jobs, you might say, but there's nothing to buy. Our grocery stores are, they're not as empty as when like people were panic buying stuff, but they're pretty like, there's a shocking amount of shortage in a lot of things. Like, I just bought a new drone and it took me like 2 months for it to finally ship.
There's a lot of delays.
Yeah.
I think people who bought any sort of electronic that involves anything with chips and wires, it's always a week or two delayed.
I was flipping one of the synths Vincent bought.
Accidentally flipped.
Accidentally.
Yeah.
Normally, I just at least try to get the same amount of money that you bought the thing back, so that like your gas isn't like for naught. But turns out anyone who has gas probably actually won at life, because you bought everything that like pre-shortage. So now if I sell any of your stuff, no one can buy it from the retailers, so everyone's flipping shit for like double what it's actually worth.
And desperate people who really want these things.
Now. Because they either need it for work, they need it to gig, they need...
practice.
Yeah, for whatever reason. They really want it now, and they don't want to wait till, like, March to get it. So they're, like, paying an arm and a leg just to get it, because you get it used.
It's insane. I've never seen anything like that. So we made $100 on top of this.
Yeah. So there's a lot of inflation right now because of it. So it doesn't even matter if you have a job or not at a certain point. And it doesn't even matter if you got a really nice raise. If you didn't get like a fucking raise, like a really nice raise, it feels like you're making less money, even if you're making more, because things are so much more expensive. And you can't...
It's hard to get what you want.
Yeah. So it's really demotivating people, making them not want to work, quitting their jobs, all this stuff. And it's causing that same kind of like negative feelings, as if 2008, it's like almost the exact opposite, but it's not good to be in the exact opposite. There needs to be a good balance. I was asking you about the state of movies back then, because I wasn't paying attention as much as today, because it's kind of my job too. Or I would make it my job too, even when we were working, to pay attention to the trends in entertainment. And back then you were telling me like, oh yeah, Harry Potter, all this, like WB was pretty big as a studio. And we always talk about this, because I don't think people have such a short memory. Disney wasn't big then. Like, Disney the brand has always been somewhat big. It's always been like a worldwide thing that Disney the brand, the princesses, the cartoons, that stuff. But Disney wasn't what it is today just 10 years ago. Like, when we were going to school, everyone wanted to work for Pixar, DreamWorks. They didn't want to work for Disney. Not necessarily. Like, people who were into the artistry of it. If you were really into the brand of like being able to work in Hollywood, yes, you wanted to work at Disney. But for the most part, you wanted the accolade of working at Pixar, because everyone knew Pixar was like so like the best. Like, they had Toy Story, I think 3 had came out like when we were in college. I grew up on The Incredibles. And then like How to Train Your Dragon too was a big motivator for a lot of people. Disney, what did Disney do? They had just made Princess and the Frog, and it was a complete failure. And there was no expectation Disney would have the comeback back then that they did. Like, they were really kind of struggling, in my opinion, for a while. And then they did Tangled. And then they started doing the Marvel movies. I don't think anyone would have predicted Marvel would have become like this big thing. that it became, and then with Star Wars and everything. So right now, in a span of like a decade, Disney kind of clawed their way up and became kind of like where Warner Brothers was 10 years ago with Harry Potter, with like The Matrix, and I feel like especially with the way the Dark Knight trilogy started to end, reminds me a lot of how like the Infinity War stuff is. Like when something ends, then what? You're most of the time you're left like hanging in the loop, and you're just kind of like, oh, I don't know if I want to stick around for what's after this because I got my ending, whatever. So when Harry Potter ended, with the Dark Knight trilogy ended, it just felt like, oh, okay, we're done. And a lot of times these studios, when they get that big, they get a little bloated and egotistical. And like this happens time and time again. Like it was Warner Brothers, and now I think it's Disney, because Disney has taken that place where like you're at the top, but like a lot of your franchises are ending, and you don't seem to have a path forward. I don't think anyone is in control of the boat here. Do you think someone, the same exact way where WB was like top dog, and Disney, a struggling studio, a struggling company, kind of on their, in my opinion, dying, and because they're struggling, they're willing to take risks to finally do something like a Tangled and to climb back up, and that you have to only be in that position to have like zero fucks left to give, to be like, you know what, let's just do something good. How about that? Now that Disney is in Warner Brothers position way back when, I think another studio that has to be in the exact same position that Disney was in will probably dominate in the near future. I think Disney has, unless they're, for whatever reason, capable of taking risks again, I don't think they're gonna do anything with the stuff that they have. I don't think they can. I don't think they're capable. But I think someone new or someone struggling who really just wants to make something good, I think they're probably going to rise up and like dominate the entertainment business.
You think it's just some unknown? You don't think they're just going to revitalize another franchise and go like, this is what you're going to like again?
It's possible. I just don't think it's going to be from Disney, because it wasn't from Warner Brothers. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like by doubling down on their existing franchises and franchises where people are already fatigued, I think that's the epitome of not being able to take risks. And I think when you're that big, oddly enough, when you have the most opportunity to take risks, I don't think you do. I think you're just trying to protect your bottom dollar for whatever reason. But people who are desperate, people who have zero fucks to give, I think they're the ones who will risk everything just on a passion project or whatever.
It's like some studio out of nowhere, like Paramount. Oh, all of a sudden, does Star Trek or does some brand new franchise. It's just like, it's brand new. Everyone likes it. Yeah. Man, I don't know. I
don't know who it's going to be. It could be someone new. It could be a random studio to take Disney's place or whatever. But I'm not going to put my money on Disney in the next 10 years.
I don't think anybody's going to have as big of a comeback. I don't think anyone's going to have a comeback. Do you think somebody's going to have a comeback?
I don't know if someone's going to have a comeback or if someone's going to come up out of nowhere.
Don't you think no one's going to come up out of nowhere and everyone's just going to sort of stagnate for the next few years?
No, I don't think so. See, this is where my INTJ idealistic hope comes in.
Because I don't like, it's starting to look like it's not going to, where does it go from here? I don't know what I'm excited for in the movies next year. I'm excited for certain video games like the next Elder Scrolls. But then in the movie space, I'm not really excited for anything.
I'm excited for...
Let us know in the comments what you're excited for, because I don't know. I don't even know what's coming. Like the Buzz Lightyear movie is like, okay.
Yeah, that's the thing. Exactly. Disney, I don't give a fuck.
Like big whoop. Like, I mean, like, that's cool. That's really, really, really cool. But I feel like at this point, the ship has sailed for me. Like
for
I
movies
said,
in general?
well, no, for like for that entire Toy Story thing. Like I said, like
yes.
Toy Story 3 was like over for me.
Yeah.
And like this new Buzz Lightyear thing. Like I watched the Buzz Lightyear cartoon. This looks like the Buzz Lightyear cartoon, but then like a remake of that instead. Yeah. Do you know that they made a Buzz Lightyear cartoon?
I had no idea.
It's basically like as if what Andy would be watching.
Oh, okay.
You know, and then like this gritty Buzz Lightyear remake that like this is somebody's idea. Let's just make a gritty Buzz Lightyear movie, and let the paper fly, you know, into infinity and beyond.
Yeah, I don't think Disney is gonna be like the top dog at all, and I really, I don't know. Part of me, my gut.
Oh, I showed you the Universal movie that's coming out.
Which Universal movie?
I think it's the one where it's like, you know, the characters look almost cel-shaded, but not.
Oh, yes, the DreamWorks.
And then you had this whole rant about.
I was so annoyed because DreamWorks has been trying to do this like 2D CG animated look for a while.
Can you say stuff like that?
I think so. They have been trying to do this for a while. I want to say since before 2016. But I know for a fact that they've had this technology, the same technology that I assume they used for Spider-Verse. That like 2D CG graphic novel kind of look. People have been making like in Gobelin and like in anime and if you're aware of a lot of like independent animated shorts, a lot of people have been innovating on this for a very, very, very long time. I think I first saw it either in Paperman or in Feast. In those Disney shorts that would play in front of the movies, where like it's their opportunity to like make this 2D CG mixed thing. Because we were all wondering, we've had CG for such a long time now, like a decade now, more than a decade since Toy Story came out. And we haven't progressed further than that. We've gone to like, what's it called, deepfakes, where like we CG like young Luke, or you know, we CG Carrie Fisher, or like, all these like CG'd people who aren't alive anymore.
But they look like they're supposed to be alive.
Yeah. That like all we've done with CG is just try to make it look more and more realistic, more texture, more. But I thought like seeing Feast and Paperman for the first time, I was like, I am really excited for this. This looks really cool. They have the technology to do this for a really long time. And when I'm sure, like, because wasn't Moana supposed to be all in that style?
That's what the rumor was.
Yeah.
When I was in college, the rumor was Moana was supposed to be in that style.
In that Feast style.
And then at the time, I thought like, oh, this is where it's going.
Yeah.
And then it never went anywhere until Spider-Verse came out.
Yeah.
And then as soon as that movie came out, I was like, oh, this must be where everything's going now. And it still hasn't gone in that direction until I saw this movie, and I was like thinking, oh, this is so funny. This is like Disney back then, going like all the way to Princess and the Frog, when like Pixar and DreamWorks were sort of like midway through their heyday.
Yeah.
They were still making 2D. Disney itself was still making 2D animated movies, and then they came out with Tangled. And now finally these other studios are like figuring out these freaky new ways of animating things. But then Disney, Encanto.
More of the same. Just upsetting.
And it's just like when you see a style as like simple but like thoughtful and still iconic and pretty, I think normal people will I think the problem is, I think there's a lot of insecurity that studio heads have, that like normies will think it's cheaper. Yeah. You know, like I think there's this huge insecurity that everybody feels like, because we've conditioned people since Toy Story that 3D means like expensive, premium stuff. And like people can't really, you know, as much as us artists want to talk about how amazing Spider-Verse is, it's hard to convince the average normie when they see like Spider-Verse that like, oh, this is revolutionary and big.
Yeah.
But then they see Encanto with like, you know, reflections in the eyes and like super poofy hair. Like people are super basic.
Yes.
You know, but then like seeing that Universal movie, I was like, oh, this is like leaning more 3D, but then a little bit too, like in proportion, a little bit of 2D. And it's like, oh, that looks kind of neat in itself. And like to me, that's like, oh, that's what I like to see.
And so the reason why I was a little pissed off, I was like, really? It took till 2021 for this to happen? Like, I kind of expected Spider-Verse to have more of an effect. Like, how successful it was, and it being such an innovative thing where it's part CG, part 2D.
My conspiracy was that when Spider-Verse came out, they were so ahead.
I think so.
I think the other studios already had so many other 3D animated projects that they couldn't even like catch up with it. And I think this one, I mean, they could have did this to Despicable Me or any of the other franchises, but it's interesting that they had to finish off Despicable Me 100, Hotel Transylvania 100, Toy Story 100, like really finish it off, and then we're starting to see this 2D stuff, and it's just like, oh, it seems as though whoever gets to this 2D, 3D stuff appeal the fastest is going to win the decade. It looks like we're entering, and I can only assume this should be cheaper somehow. If people are, if the designers are smart, this 2D, 3D blend, there must be a way to make it more affordable than your super big budget, you know, the AAA with the poofy hair, and Kanto, you know.
Well, I still think like CG to the length that like Disney or Pixar, DreamWorks sometimes takes it is probably still a lot more expensive to accomplish, like water and hair and fabric. That's still very, very difficult to make look good. So when I think, you know, if you ever compared and contrast TV CG animation to feature CG animation, I think there's a huge budget difference there in the quality of like how you can make water look, how you can make cloth, hair flow and stuff like that. It's still not very easy but like when you meld 2D and CG, I feel like it can potentially make things even more expensive because because not only do you have to now get like the really good CG animators and stuff, you also have to get the really seasoned
like the
traditional best animator.
If you want to do 2D-esque hair and you're really gonna get down and dirty and just animate it from scratch, you're probably concerned with, I need to find the best hair animator in the planet.
But not only that, like painters and lighting are like 10,000 times more important now, more than ever. Like traditional painters to get that look. Because like people who have worked in CG all their life might not know how to do that, like how much is too graphic and how much is not graphic enough or whatever. What I saw was like the craziest thing that I had seen done in a while was in Love, Death, and Robots. I'm pretty sure technology has, watching that, I don't think people like a lot of those different episodes that were like animated and cartoony or on the CG 2D thing, I don't think someone sat there and painted every single frame. I'm pretty sure there's some kind of code or algorithm that can kind of sort of do it at least halfway there, and then like you finish it up somehow. Because in order, like, unless they do that, and that's really painstaking, and that's really, really, really expensive and time consuming. But I'm pretty sure, because like that's the only way, like for example, like the Dam Keeper was made. Like you had to sit there and paint every single frame. But I don't think that's what they're doing with like this new Universal movie with I think it's called like Bad Boys. It's about like a wolf who wants to be a good boy.
I'm a bad guy, but now I'm a good guy.
Yeah. But that's I was mad because we have known about this technology for a very, very, very long time now. And it's upsetting that a studio as big and profitable as Disney, who should be able to take all the chances they want now that they have so much money, chooses not to. Meanwhile, a studio like Universal and Sony did it first. You know? Like, I think that's exactly my point of, like, I think someone else, I don't know who it's going to be, I don't know if it's going to be an existing studio or a nobody coming up out of nowhere, are going to do something that will, like, win. They will be the winners of the next decade, and I don't think it's going to be Disney, because they're not going to take any risks. I don't know why. They really should at this point, but they're not. I am still reading. I am still listening to How to Win Friends and Influence People by Andrew Carnegie. I am slowly working my way through this book. It's a process. And if you want to get better at not being like me, head over to audibletrial.com/the Honey and Absinthe Podcast to get your one free audiobook. That's audibletrial.com/the Honey and Absinthe Podcast.
I think the thing that we paid attention to the most, I think the number one thing we paid attention to the most was the box office. Mm-hmm. And we kept thinking, like, hey man, this doesn't look very good, because I think no one watched anything in 2020. And remember when Tenet came out, and everyone and WB was like, oh, we're gonna have a release in theaters, and nobody went. Yeah. And then there was like a whole slew of lockdowns after.
Yeah.
And then I was thinking, like, okay, and things in 2021, they'll be different, right? They'll be different. I think people will actually go out and watch movies again. And some people did, mm-hmm. and I think it was slow going. Yeah. I think now, for whatever reason, people are really going out. But then, like every year, usually the beginning of the year, the beginning of spring, no one really watches movies. Yeah. It's like the gutter time of the year. Mm-hmm. Everyone's hungover from the holidays, spent so much money. Yeah. And it doesn't really pick up until summer.
Whenever I think about, these typical reasons that you hear in, like, the media, or reasons people give you, like, oh, people are scared of the pandemic, or whatever, even when I say it, it doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel truthful to what I'm observing in the world. And I agree with you. I think there's something about going to the movie theater that isn't fun anymore.
It doesn't seem like it's interesting for people. It doesn't seem novel for people anymore.
Yeah. Because if I were to paint a picture of what it looked like, the types of people and what they were doing pre-pandemic, and how they were behaving at the theater, we're artists. We love people watching. We're nosy. I would see huge groups of people gathered at the theater, buying popcorn, going to the seats together, buying tickets together. There were huge families, huge groups of friends. It was never just a couple. If it was a couple, it would be like a double date or something. It would be like a group of friends would all go to the theater together, and they'd be so excited. They'd be like talking about the movie, so excited to be out together. That I virtually don't see that anymore whatsoever. Even when it's technically still possible to do that. Like, I'm talking about groups of 4 or more. So, like, the last time I kind of saw that, Shang-Chi had a little bit of that, in that I saw a lot of families at the movie theater. We were watching something else. I forget what it was, but there were...
There's a family who dragged their grandparents. Their old Chinese grandparents.
Something like that.
Like, oh, come on. It's like Tony Leung.
Tony Leung's in it.
It's Tony Leung.
You know him, right?
Come on, Grandma, Grandpa.
You'll enjoy it too.
Yeah. The Brad Pitt of Hong Kong,
Basically. The god. They called him, like, the god.
He looks so good still, dude.
I mean, with makeup on.
Yeah.
There was a part of the saddest thing. Asians are kind of really shallow. This, like, viral picture of him with, like, a fan at some, like, I don't know, street market or something, I don't know. It went viral, but it went viral because he looks his age, which is, like, he's kind of old. Yeah. But a lot of people were like, oh my god, is that Tony Leung? He used to be a god. What happened to him? I'm like, age.
I think Tony Leung is the number one thing that no one wants to, like, no one talks about as to why Shang-Chi, in my opinion, was really successful. Dude is like kind of a legend.
Yeah.
I saw some of the footage with him on YouTube, and he's really good still.
Yeah.
He's the same guy from all the Wong Kar-wai movies. Yeah. Same dude.
Yeah. If my parents knew he was in that movie, my parents would have watched it.
Over.
Yeah. They would have watched it, and they would have told my grandparents to go watch it.
Man.
And then they would have talked about how great Tony Leung was.
Yeah.
They don't care about Marvel. Don't care about any of that. So it's very unfortunate that that movie was banned in China. And then the other time I saw that kind of happen was in Demon Slayer. I saw a big gaggle of teenagers all gathered together going in to watch Demon Slayer.
They're straight up doing some TikTok stuff too.
Yeah.
I'm seeing Demon Slayer.
You made them laugh when the what's it called? The Funimation.
Oh yeah, and you go Eren Yeager. Eren Yeager. And
then everyone starts cheering because the movie has begun.
Yeah.
And you participated in a communal meme.
Yes, I did. Damn right I did. It's like you see it on TikTok all the time.
Yeah.
It takes help the kids actually experience Eren Yeager. It's like it's kind of cool.
Yeah, but then you're the only one because you're 30 and you don't care. But
fuck.
But all the little 15, 16-year-olds were like,
I don't want to be on the internet, but it's so funny that you did it. I don't know why it's funny. I just kept seeing that on TikTok, and I was like, how funny it would be if I did it.
But every other instance we've gone to the theater, people don't do that anymore. People go maybe as a couple, maybe with some friends, but it's never this giant group of thing. And I wondered, why is that? And I thought about it. I was like, well, it's kind of... The government has taken all the joy out of going to public places in big groups because you get harassed, or it's just another barrier to doing the fun thing. It's supposed to be fun. So imagine trying to corral your group of friends and being like, hey, you calling them up or zooming them, whatever it is you do nowadays, and be like, hey, let's all go to the theater. You have to figure out what time, and you gotta figure out who has the poke, who didn't get the poke. Oops, I can't be friends with you anymore. Do you have your card? All this stuff. Are you updated? It's not fun. It's not fun. So people I would rather just not. I'd just rather there's if you want to get together, that's one obstacle. To get together and then to go to the theater, that's way too many obstacles. A lot of tension and friction every step of the way. Why do you think people don't want to go out and do anything anymore other than to I don't know, eat at a restaurant?
Janet,
just hang out.
The government is the source of all your problems, Janet.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes. The government isn't I don't see them as evil like a lot of people do. I just see them as a nuisance. Just you're so annoying and bad at your job, like most bureaucracy, like most companies. And as for fatigue, I do think people are really fatigued, and it all stems back from Avatar.
Oh, Avatar. Oh, Avatar.
The blue alien.
The blue not the Last Airbender. The blue alien thing.
Yeah. Because
that made so much money, and I think everybody was like, "Oh, it made so much money in China."
Yeah.
And everyone was like, that's exactly what we're going to go for now. The China bucks.
Yeah.
And then from then on, it's every single... I'm not sure if you know, but Marvel's huge in China.
Yeah.
All those characters are super huge in China.
Yeah. I don't think for the same reasons that they're big here. No.
Wait, why do you think they're big over... Oh, because they're really hot.
Yeah.
They're into Loki.
Yeah.
They're into that stuff. Yeah, that's right.
Let me tell you something.
Okay, tell us everything.
Asians. And this might be...
How would you know anything about Asians?
I am a fellow yellow-skinned human like you. I mean, all you Asians out there. they're kind of shallow. And I think this is what I understand about Chinese people. They like brands.
Nike.
And they like celebrities.
Adidas.
Yes.
Adidas.
They like Gucci. Why do you think House of Gucci did so well in China? They like big brands, and that includes big branded celebrities. So like if you have whoever is the it girl or boy in your movie, the Chinese will watch it because they're like, ooh, Scarlett Johansson's in the movie. She's supposedly a really great actress. And there's this thing I don't understand. I knew that Avatar was going to do really well in China before people were like, oh my god, it did so well in China. Chinese people love this, like, spectacle CGI thing.
The sci-fi.
Yeah. The
sci-fi. The heavy sci-fi.
They really like beautiful sci-fi fantasy.
Or like World of Warcraft heavy CG fantasy.
And that's why it doesn't even really... They're not...
Remember the Great Wall with Matt Damon?
Yeah, exactly.
That.
I like that.
Remember Megalodon? That.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're not...
The Meg. That's right, the Meg.
A lot of the times, to appeal to Chinese audiences, it almost doesn't even matter if the story is... Like, Americans are all about story is king, story this, story that. Chinese people, it's all about visuals, okay? It's all about, like, amazing CG. So I knew, like, Avatar just had all the ingredients for Chinese audiences. But I feel like Avatar was, I don't know how to quantify or explain what I mean by, like, the spectacle movie. I feel like Avatar was, like, the first huge spectacle movie.
Well, it was also marketed with 3D in mind.
Yeah.
And it was also one of the first of many movies that was just like, oh, this is going to be, like, a big, grand, more than 2.5 hour thing where there's like big machines and big monsters and like full on CG stuff. I think like this is one of the first movies that was using that CG camera thing. James Cameron was using a CG camera thing that like they didn't even have like a real camera in there, but he was still directing the movie as if he was holding the camera, but in virtual reality, man.
And I thought it was crazy. Like, they had, like, the motion capture thing suit on, and then you could see behind, like, the rig that he was using, it was, like, the blue alien people, but in front of you, there were just a bunch of people in, like, mocap stuff. And that was, like, the first time I saw that technology in a behind-the-scenes, like, featurette kind of thing. And that's, like, I would consider that type of spectacle movies kind of different from what I would call a blockbuster. It's like the typical, like, we've had blockbusters since the dawn of movies. But I think spectacle is something different. It's like everything. Movies with, like, literally everything in it. Explosions, CGI, big... $1 million actors and big ginormous budget.
Know what they loved? Transformers.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking. It's just like there's a movie here. There's a movie here that, like, exemplifies everything we're talking about. But then, like, I don't want to say like just glorious CG because that's too vague.
Yeah.
It's too vague. But then I was like, oh, that's exactly like just bombastic.
Yeah.
Off the walls. Cameras spinning. Characters, let's go, oh my god, oh, Optimus Prime, oh my god, like just like really, really intense, and then explosions, and then like women with big, fat, juicy lips, you know, really close to the camera, like Megan Fox and that other actress in the third Transformers movie that they replaced because Megan Fox didn't want to hang out with them anymore. Remember that?
Yeah.
Oh my god, that was so bad.
But I think we've had like a decade or more of these type of spectacle movies, and I think finally people really are kind of fatigued.
If Frozen 3 comes out, do you think it's going to be as big as Frozen 2?
No. I don't think any other than Toy Story 3, I don't think any last, like, third sequel of a movie could be that successful. I think a lot of people are holding out hope right now. I think the reason why we came up with this entire topic of discussion is because I think a lot of people like me in 2008 were understood a bad thing happened, doesn't understand how to deal with it, and is just going to plug their ears and go la 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 la, things are going to be fine, things will be better next year. And because like that's what I feel like everyone has been saying, things will be better in a month, things will be better next year.
You don't think conventions are going to be a thing?
No, I don't.
You don't think there's going to be conventions at the end of next year or any sort of conventioning
I think
year?
there will be conventions. I just don't think the hype for them will be as strong. Like I think
That's true. People go to conventions because the Avengers is coming out. And,
yeah.
Suicide Squad. Everyone dress up. What's everybody going to do? Dress up as Squid Game characters?
Yeah, like when we were growing up, and I don't know about you, but I really, really, really wanted to go to Anime Expo growing up, and it took so much convincing to get my dad to chaperone us at Anime Expo, like you see a lot of parents doing. And when you're that young, I didn't want to go because of, I don't know, Naruto or whatever anime I was watching at the time. I didn't know what was being promoted at all at the con. I just wanted to go to be with my weeb brethren. And what did I do as a young, I think I was 16 or something. I had no money. My dad wouldn't give me any money to buy anything. I was just there to look, I guess. We just walked around the exhibit hall, admired all the artists doing commissions, admired all the cosplayers who did, Anime Expo was so much smaller back then than it is now. Now people go and they're so excited to meet, I don't know, the creator of My Hero or something and get something signed, or
their favorite voice actor.
Yeah, to see exclusive first episode screening of the new season or something.
Right.
That is you get that many people to come support your convention, depending on how much hype there is behind these properties. If no one's excited for Marvel or DC or Star Wars, why would they go to the conventions? Other than, the super geeks, like I was
diehards.
Back in the day. I would just go just to go.
But man, when we were doing conventions, there were a lot of casuals who were I don't usually do this. This is my very first one.
Yeah, or and they get their very first commission from us, or they don't even know what a commission is and they need us to explain it. Or
oh man, those are the days.
Sometimes people just go there and buy gifts. I don't understand. People just go to the exhibit hall to buy gifts for the holidays. And they're not even a fan of it. They're like, do you have any of that Hello Kitty stuff? And I'm like, no sir, I don't. And so I don't think conventions are gonna do that well. And I don't know if you follow our friend Chris Keiko, but it does not seem judging from his vlogs and stuff, it doesn't seem like the traffic is as high as peak conventioning for us. But in that same vein, I think a lot of people are holding out hope for there to be something like a Frozen 3. Or
for maybe, conventions are going to pick up sometime next year. Let's hope.
Yeah. I think, because I like Scott Adams talks about this a lot in his books, about how when you develop different skill stacks, you're capable of being a different type of person and seeing from that lens. So for example, if I put on my artist cap, I can see how an artist would feel about certain things. But then if I put on my scientist engineer cap, an engineer would experience that same bit of information slightly differently. So
what caps do you wear?
I am an industry shell cap because I have been there. I understand what it feels like. And I also understand now that I've been out of it. Man, I was in a cult. But I can still kind of put on that cap, And every once in a while, we both like to think about what we would have felt if we were still that person. Basically, we put ourselves in our friends' shoes. Maybe they're not my friend. Maybe I shouldn't call them my friend. My coworkers.
I guess I would be like, oh, this Spider-Man movie. I want to see Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield and all these actors who are all these villains, and I want to see how they're going to rope me into a new... I wonder how they're going to show how Peter becomes Iron Man, basically. You know, I wonder how they're going to like get me into watching another decade of Marvel movies.
Do you think...
I think, you know what the best thing I think should happen?
What?
I think Sony should cut loose from Marvel.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think in from what I see, if this movie is successful, it's not a Disney thing.
Yeah.
To me, what it spells is Marvel, Sony, Columbia has Spider-Man and the entire Spider-Man villain lexicon, which includes Venom and Morbius, and the old Spider-Man franchise of yore, both of them. So if we had that much to play with, there's at least a decade of movies there. Why would we need everybody else from Disney Marvel?
Yeah.
All those washed up, the Eternals. Do you want the Eternals mucking up the Spider-Man thing? Do you want Shang-Chi to muck up the Spider-Man thing? Do you want Hawkeye to muck up the Spider-Man thing? I think Sony has something really good going on. And I think they could totally pull out, like, what's the name of Miles Morales? Just make a live action version of that, and all of a sudden it's just like you have a Spider-Man universe. Like, why would you even need... Like, we saw Spider-Man with Thor and all these people from the Marvel universe already.
Yeah.
Who cares? I want to see Spider-Man with Venom.
Yeah.
I want to see Spider-Man Morbius. I want to see Spider-Man interact with all the different generations of Spider-Man that has ever been. I mean, like, I don't see why they need Disney at this point. And I wonder if that's what Sony's thinking. Because it's like, why does it matter anymore?
I really have a gut feeling that Sony might actually be the company to watch.
I think so.
Yeah. It's not just the Spider-Man, because I don't care about Spider-Man, but it's the fact that Sony has always had their what's it called, like Sony Originals, Sony something. So it's every time you see that blue Sony screen.
Oh, Sony Pictures Classics.
Yeah, they seem to have a dedicated arm just for art's sake, if you know what I mean. Like they tend to be the studios that are like distributing like the crazy indie movies that always win Oscars and stuff like that. And I don't know. I don't know. It's a gut feeling. Yeah. What was I saying? Oh yeah. I
just feel like the power has shifted. I feel like there was a point where Disney basically resuscitated Sony from near bankruptcy.
Yes.
By letting them, like, having basically Spider-Man on lease.
Yes.
With Tom Holland. And now the power has shifted that, like, suddenly it's possible for Spider-Man to hang out with any of the Spider-Man villains without setting it up, because suddenly it makes sense now that we have this Spider-Verse thing. Mm-hmm. Why would they need Marvel at this point? Because we've already exhausted that. The only crossover there is left to be had is Spider-Man and Deadpool and Spider-Man and X-Men. But I don't know, man. Like, who gives a shit?
When I put myself in the shoes of, like, my former coworkers, I get this feeling, this is what I would hope for. I would hope for there to be something like a Frozen again. Something that...
Janet's wrong. She's out of her mind. She's a bitter human being. She's dumb.
But, like, I don't know. I think I can see clearer than all of you because I'm not in it anymore. But, like, everyone who's in it still, they're like... I think they, at this point, understand the writing is on the wall. And I think a lot of people selling courses, I think a lot of people who are holding out hope for, like, there to be some kind of big movie like Frozen to come about, I think they're holding out hope that animation and Hollywood is gonna... This is just temporary. It's gonna get big again. we just need another Frozen. This basically what I'm saying. It needs another $1 billion movie that takes the world by storm. Somehow Disney has done it so many times
and resuscitates the industry.
Yeah,
and everything's okay again.
Everything will be okay. We're just waiting for that moment, and I think that's really sad because not only like you're holding out hope for lightning to strike, basically, which is a very, very bad thing because you're basically gambling with your own life at a certain point. And another thing, I understand when people feel that way, it's not out of logic. It's out of this base human instinct to want to be liked and to have status. So like, when, for example, Frozen came out and everyone wanted to work at Disney, everyone thought Disney was amazing, and even people who did not work on this movie, who are just part of the industry, whether it's you're a PA, whether you aren't even, like, you're in a completely separate studio, whether you're just kind of on the sidelines of Hollywood, somehow...
A few degrees of separation.
Yeah. Somehow, we all get credit and status and whatever just by being associated. Yeah.
I was a part of making that.
And I just feel very like, ew, gross. Now that I'm out of it, because like, man, no one cares. No one, when I say no one cares, I genuinely don't think anyone in the industry believes me. They're like, everyone cares what you're talking about. I don't think no one cares. It's not that big of a deal.
How do you know?
Because I feel like I've interacted with far more normal human beings who aren't in the industry just by being on the internet the way I am and being away from it so that I'm not like working all the time. I'm not only hanging out with coworkers. I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid anymore. I kind of actually listen to real conversations that people are having.
Then what's occupying the hearts and minds of people now then? It used to be, Harry Potter. The Avengers movies.
I don't know, like anime, sports, politics, so many things. Not Marvel, not animation, not what how do I get into Hollywood? How do I get hired? All this stuff I don't think is like top of mind. I don't think consuming things like Marvel movies is top of mind. I think people have a lot better things to do than that. And then like...
And what, just because the pandemic is happening, you think people have suddenly, I need to do important things?
I actually do think that.
I don't think so.
I think
there's more things to distract people now.
I think people have reoriented their priorities.
You really think so?
I really do think so.
That's not a very Janet thing to say, because that's like really assuming that people really want to pull it together or something.
I think if this doesn't make people really like wake up a little bit about what's truly important in life, then I think there's no hope for humanity. I am either idealistic in it, and I believe people can like understand that like life is short and you can die at any moment, and this should have proved that to you, and maybe you should do something better with your life. Or people don't realize any of that, and I'm Dr. Manhattan, and I just want to fly myself to Mars and go, there is no hope for you. Either one of those.
We have expressed in this podcast that I am a pessimist.
Yes.
And I think for a lot of people, everything that's happened in the past 2 years changed nothing for them. Absolutely nothing.
I am still an optimist, and I believe the best in people, for better or for worse. Except there's one thing that I have learned my lesson. That waiting around for somebody to come save you or to fulfill any of their promises to you is not going to work. How do I know that? All of you who voted for Biden because you were young and he promised that he would forgive your student loans, look at us now. He was like, I think it was something like, I promise I will start with forgiving $50,000 in your student loans. And then it went down and down and down to now, basically, where he's like, haha, gotcha, bitch. You voted for me? I don't give a fuck about you. See ya. And then he's like, eating his ice cream, and he's like, yeah, I never said anything. I never said anything about forgiving your student.
Well, but suddenly in 2024,
this is
the year.
This is the year.
This is the year, everyone.
I will do it.
This is the year. Oh, this is the year.
And I just, like, that says a lot to me. That, like, I'm sure a lot of people our age.
You want to watch the Charlemagne the God thing?
Oh, no.
Okay.
Not right now.
Okay.
I am pretty sure the reason why I feel like people are waiting around for something is like that is like the epitome of like an example, a great example. Like people are just waiting around. Everyone, I have learned this from Dave Ramsey, okay? If you are graduated from college, if you have student loan debt, this is why I like worked really hard to pay off all my student loan debt and didn't wait around, because that was kind of what I was doing for a while because I didn't know any better. He always says those student loan forgiveness program things where you like work for 10 years and then you get all your loans forgived or something like that. That's a bunch of bullshit. Apparently, the amount of people they accept into like that fulfilled all the requirements is like very, very, very slim because they don't want to do it. And then you waited around for 10 years and you're still stuck with student loans. And I think he's basically like, it's all a scam. Like, if you want to get rid of your student loans, you gotta pay them off yourself. Stop waiting for someone to come save you, because no one's gonna come save you. And once you acknowledge that, you have basically started taking your life into your own hands. And man, when he said all that stuff, I was like, holy shit, I am screwed. But I can unscrew myself. So Biden is not gonna pay you for your goddamn student loans. It's not gonna happen. Stop waiting around. The same way I don't, like, stop waiting around for, like, Frozen 3000. Like, it's not, I don't.
What should all the smart people waiting for Frozen 3000 do then?
So I think the solution is to make things work now. So we were kind of in the same position about a year ago. We were hoping in 2021 things were going to get better, we'll be able to go outside, we're going to go back to the theater, everything's going to be hunky-dory and normal. And it's not. And when we came to terms with that, I realized, okay, I need to take my life into my own hands. I can't rely on if there are going to be gyms. So if I'm waiting to lose weight, I can't wait around forever because there might not be gyms. Who knows when that's going to be a thing, comfortable working out in public with other people. So I'm going to have to figure it out somehow. If, living in California kind of fucking sucks, maybe we'll pick up and move. That is definitely a huge option, and like, it was really difficult for us to even begin comprehending making that decision as like Californians.
Oh, as time went on, California made it really easy for us.
Yeah. We're now like excited to leave. But like how much do you have to screw us, native Californians, to finally be like, yeah,
I think approximately by a weekly basis, which is what happens.
Yes. There's so many, even like this past week really tested us. This past week, really tested me. And I think making these life changes of like, okay, I'm not going to wait around for the gym to open again. I'm not going to wait around for California to magically get better again. I'm going to maybe move. I'm going to like figure out this whole workout thing. I'm going to take life into my own hands. And that's kind of what I did with like leaving Disney and doing all this stuff with YouTube. And I think back to 2008 a lot. 2008, like I said, I was a junior in high school. And all I did was plug my ears and go, la la la, I'm just going to stick to the plan. And what the plan is when you're at that age is to do good in school, get into a good college, graduate that college, work at a good company. Life ends, I guess.
Bro down.
Yes.
You work until you retire.
Yes.
Or they put you down.
Yes.
Like an old racehorse.
Exactly. And I think a lot about that period of time because remember where we were at in 2008? That was kind of the beginning of influencers before we all realized that YouTubers could be making bank. Instagram was about to become a thing. Like, imagine if in 2008 I had pivoted. Instead of being like, well, that's really scary. I might not have a job in 10 years. I don't know what to do. I don't know. I guess I'll just do what everyone else told me to do and go to college, get into a boatload of student loan debt, and then maybe I'll get a good job at a studio, like Disney.
If you had a time machine and you went to, Cal Arts, RISD, Art Center, and we're like, 2008, and you don't do it, don't work in animation, don't work in Hollywood, just bro down and make a YouTube channel and sell online stuff, and there's this thing called being an internet personality, and you gotta do it. I'm fading away now, listen to me. And then you disappear, and all the students are like, well, who the fuck was that crazy bitch? Just some sort of moaning Myrtle type of shit. What's going on here?
I should have in 2008 started a YouTube channel, and that was when all the big people on YouTube were popping off.
All those people will have money that us employees will
never
see. We will never see that much money in our lifetime.
They could retire now and it's fine. And I really thought about I could have been on this path a lot sooner, and I 100% believe that I would have been able to figure it all out even without a college degree, an art center degree. I would have figured out how to use cameras. I would have figured out how to do everything. Maybe not as well as I can now as someone who's been through art school, but does it matter? Not really. You
have the benefit of being young at least.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's the thing. There were people back then getting huge off of webcams. And because you didn't have the technology we have today. And it didn't matter. It's more about figuring out how to be on camera, how to tell jokes, how to be engaging and all that stuff that you have to learn just by doing it and practicing it. And it's skills I wish I had developed way back in 2008 when there's a lot more forgiveness to be had when you're 16 versus a late 20-something-year-old trying to do it. So I think even in terms of income and career and everything, I think the solution to things not being any different from today for the next 8 years or so, I think the only way you can make things different is if you take control of your own life. If you pivot. Just keep pivoting and pivoting and pivoting until something is working. Because I'm telling you now, a lot of people told me back in 2008, there is not going to be a job guaranteed for you, and it's going to be very, very, very difficult for you, especially if you are an artist and a creative. I'm sorry. That is just how it is. And
Janet, real talk.
Yes.
Janet.
And I was very grateful that people told me that back then, because I understood that nothing was going to come easy, and I was going to have to work really, really hard if I decide to take this route. And
anyone telling you otherwise is selling something.
Yes. I understood that if someone was like, oh yeah, totally, there's going to be so much money in it, there's going to, it's easy, as long as, it's so, you're good, you're good. Once you're in, you're in. I didn't believe any of that bullshit early on because I had the fortunate people in my life to give me the real talk about, look, it's going to be hard. Especially for you, okay?
It's not going to matter if you're good or not.
No.
You will have no say in this, really.
No. The fact that you're shy, the fact that people dislike you.
Doesn't matter if you get better at any of that.
No. You're just gonna have a hard time. I'm sorry. And I, being stubborn and foolish and full of ego,
worked super hard,
worked really, really hard
to get exactly what you wanted.
Yeah.
And what happened when you got exactly what you wanted?
And I was like, you were fucking right. All the people who told me all that stuff, you guys are right. And
which stuff?
That it's gonna be hard.
Oh.
It's gonna be hard in ways you can't even imagine. So
Man, how many shows have you jumped in between in your time at DreamWorks to Disney? That's about I think 5, right?
Like 5, yeah.
Yeah. Ooh, I remember.
Yeah, I had like 5.
Let's see, I've been on. Can I count the ones that have been canceled?
Sure.
Oh yeah, 1, 2, and then 3, and then 4, and then 5, and then 6. I've been on 7 shows. Hey. Man, it's crazy. I've been working longer than you.
Yeah.
I remember a time where I was just like, man, when am I going to get hired? Don't want to get hired in the industry. And then you were like, you should enjoy what you have right now. And I was like, what? You're crazy. I'm so excited. I'm going to get jackets.
Oh my God.
I'm going to get swag, get free tickets.
It wasn't that long ago where I felt like we had a huge argument over ego stuff. Like you wanted to be a big art director one day, and I was like, why? And you're like,
because
what do you
know that's what people say I should do. What I should be. And then now I'm older, I'm like, fuck that. I don't want that responsibility, man. You don't understand. I just feel like at the rate things are going now, I could coast it until I'm 20. For 20 years later, and I could be like, holy smokes, I don't have to manage anybody or whatever. Yeah, sure, you get paid more money, but then I think about what you guys use that money for.
Seriously.
You're not buying houses.
Yeah,
you're still living in apartments. I don't understand.
What I don't understand is the only reason I would consider continuing to work in animation for now till whenever would be so that I can buy more houses, so I can peace out. For reals.
That's legit the only reason why I'm staying.
Yeah.
I want to buy houses.
Yeah.
That's it. I want to buy houses so the houses make money and I never have to work in the industry ever again. That's the plan.
But I see so many people who are so irresponsible with their money. They're going to Ennaka. They're going to 3-star Michelin restaurants.
Well, I think the thing that made it crazy for me was seeing how much inflation happened.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, if I really think about it, if I think about how much money I have in the bank, that's it means less and less. Mm-hmm. And I was like, what the fuck? I can't just have savings. Yeah. I need to put it somewhere. I'm like, okay, what do I do? Crypto? Fuck, I suck at that shit. I don't know anything about buying property. I mean, I'm not good at Monopoly, but at least I understand that a lot better than crypto. I think people can probably invest in whatever they like. Yeah. Something they understand.
It's usually that's what
they're passionate about.
Say, yeah. It's what invest in whatever you like the most. It doesn't matter if everyone's telling you, oh, real estate makes so much money. It doesn't matter if you suck at it or if you hate it. If you hate it, you're not gonna do it well. Yeah. But if you like stocks, then do stocks. I don't know.
But when we started going to B&Bs, I was like, oh man, this is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I remember a coworker was telling me man, you should get into B&Bs. I was like, man, B&Bs.
Man, I want to talk to him. I don't know if he likes me.
He told me all this stuff about all this shit that happened, all people partying and shit. I was like, man, I don't want any of that responsibility. But then when we went and I realized how much I'm paying for these goddamn B&Bs, and I realized how much these people who own B&Bs are making, I'm just like, oh my god, look at these people. They don't lift a finger and they make as more money than I do. This is ridiculous. Why is anybody working as hard as they do?
I know.
It's all a flex.
It's all
oh, I work harder than you, bitch. I think the person who really has it made is the person who doesn't have to work and make money. Don't you think that person wanted life?
Yeah, we should all listen to that person. I am constantly...
do you want to be Paul Felix or do you want to own 10 houses?
I want to own 10 houses.
Yes.
I would love to have a very deep conversation with this friend of yours who's really into Airbnb, but I'm just not sure if anyone in animation still likes me.
We recently watched a movie. We also went to this place, and I was really excited because this director, Sean Baker, has made a wonderful movie about basically where I grew up. Tangerine. Mm-hmm. That street, that donut shop. It's now Danny Trejo's donut shop. That's where he made that movie, all on an iPhone. And then he went all the way to Florida, made a Florida project with Willem Dafoe. Very fantastic movie. Highly recommend. And we just went to Texas recently. And we like all we kept talking about was like, man, other than Linklater, like who makes this town look amazing and beautiful in the way that, like, you know, so many movies about New York and LA have been like documented and just they just make that area look beautiful. I looked around at Texas and how green it was and the clouds and just the rain and how quickly the weather would change and how swampy it was in certain areas. It was just like, as a Californian, it was like an alien planet. And I was thinking like, man, there should be more movies here. I don't know why they don't make more movies here.
Yeah.
And then it turns out Sean Baker makes a movie set in Texas. And it seems as though he has this theme of like, you know, it doesn't seem like he hires some professionals, but most of the people in his movies are like amateurs or people who he finds like basically on the street. And this movie looks like a bunch of unknown people, but the same sort of theme of like, oh, we're all hanging out in this slice of life thing.
Yeah.
And this one's set in Texas and it looks absolutely gorgeous. Yeah. There's this one scene where the main character is like cycling through a convenience store, and you see like the clouds roll in and it's like really bright and then really gray and then really bright again, which happens all the time when you're in Texas. That's like what I noticed. It's just like, oh, it's just never consistently the same weather here. Yeah. It's ridiculous. It's like constantly shifting. And the clouds, they move so fast. It's insane.
Beautiful there. I remember, I really admire the architecture there too. It's a lot more southern and historic looking compared to a lot of the architecture in LA.
It's fake McMansions. Just nothing that looks like it's been there for longer than 10 years.
Yes. And it doesn't have, a lot of our buildings look really cheap. Like, no one cared about the design of it. It was just made to
live here.
Live
here so you can work here.
Yeah. To pack as many people in a building as possible to get top dollar. So a lot of our buildings look like just square apartment complexes, no architectural details, no character whatsoever. But then when we went to Texas, well, there was so much character. There was like those big stately window treatment stuff and big lawns, but then there's also like the commercial buildings that look like they've been there. Like there's brick. Like, as a Californian, we don't see brick anywhere. But like,
you cannot. We will be smushed by the earthquakes.
Yeah. But like, it was nice to see so much brick, and with brick you can really see like the age of like a building and stuff. I really like that, and because it's so lush and green, I thought like Texas is so photogenic that I don't understand why more people don't make movies there. And then this movie came out, and I was like, this is like the epitome of our trip.
How well did Mr. Baker capture the vibe of Texas?
He captured it real well.
Really good.
Really well.
Really good.
Yeah. I like how everyone looked like they've been sweating. Because that's how everyone looks.
You just sweat.
Yeah.
You just sweat in Texas.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy. I actually prefer that over the blistering heat that we have here. It just feels like your skin's being like fried here.
Yeah.
But then in Texas, it just feels like you're slowly being drained of life force. Slowly though. You're just sweating all your impurities away.
I prefer it. And I thought the characters are really charming. It's definitely like a slower slice of life type movie. It's an indie movie, so if you're not into that type of stuff, you might not like it. But I thought, having watched his other movies, it's a very charming movie. It's not my favorite, but it was really charming.
What's your favorite of his?
Oh, I think Tangerine.
I like Florida Project most.
Really?
Yeah.
I think Tangerine is my favorite because of how accessible it makes filmmaking for a lot of people.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah, that like he made all that on an iPhone in LA. Walking down your street. Your street.
Yep.
Like you've taken me to that donut place.
Yes, I have.
Before it became Danny Trejo's Donuts.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought their portrayal of pot was really accurate.
Texan pot.
Yeah.
Yeah. The illegal stuff.
It was so accurate the way the main character describes how he's so thankful that it's still illegal in Texas. Because that's so accurate. The stuff here is like...
weak.
Yes.
But when we went to Texas, I was like, oh, everything really is just bigger over here.
Yes. Yes. I would say, we were talking about this, that we were like, man, all the people who come here to California and then claim to be Californians, and then they, like, make our state kind of, like, shittier. I feel like all these people have turned weed into, like, this really expensive thing here.
Yeah, a really expensive designer thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, every so often we'll see, like, these dispensaries that are, like, really, really, really nice. And I'm
They look like almost like iPhone stores.
Yes. And they charge an arm and a leg.
For the experience of the iPhone store.
Yes. And it's usually where I see, I would say, non-Californians shop there. But, like, if you are a true Californian, you know the real spots where we get that stuff. And it's a lot cheaper and a lot better. Okay? And, like, for whatever reason, bureaucracy has really messed up that industry here.
It's sad.
Yeah.
So keep it illegal, Texas.
What else did I want to talk about?
Trust me, you're gonna miss it.
Oh, and so, like, I imagine this movie to be the epilogue of Boogie Nights.
Yeah, I think this movie plus Boogie Nights makes for an awesome double feature.
Yes. And the reason is because instead of, like, small town boy goes to LA to make it, you know, there's so many of those type of movies, it's big shot who has made it in LA goes back home to brag about it to his friends and family.
Oh, and it's just like, oh, this must be like every Thanksgiving for our industry peers.
Yeah.
Just like, oh yeah, man, like I have 323 area code, man, and yeah, man, I like, you know, I eat at these spots, man. I'm a Californian, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is what they say about the stuff in our industry, man. Yeah, I'm part of the industry, man.
I am part of the oral awards, even though I did absolutely nothing.
That's a very Boogie Nights thing.
Yeah.
In the movie. They talk about a specific award that is sort of obviously somebody, one person, is responsible for winning the award.
Yes.
But it seems like 7 other people take credit for it. Which is like, man, that's like almost every award here. The Emmys, the Grammys.
I'm an Emmy award winning. I was part of this Emmy award winning show. I was like everyone from like the PAs will like tout that shit, but like you're a PA. But it doesn't matter. You go back home and you tell everyone, oh, I was a big shot in Hollywood. You said you think this movie is like Sean Baker's I Hate Hollywood movie.
Possibly. I think it's just a critique on just people who are seduced by industry, period. Because it's about him seducing someone else.
Yeah. Because
it's almost like he can't help himself.
Yeah.
Like all of these people who work in industries, it's almost like in order for them to keep the dream alive for them, they have to like take someone in and go, here, young child.
Yeah.
Let me tell you all the ways. And like that, I think that whole side of the movie where like our main character is like seducing somebody to be a part of his industry is just like the most fascinating part of the movie.
Yeah.
It was really neat to see.
What I liked the most about the movie is the end theme. Because it sets, this whole premise sets it up to be, I guess not expected for me. Because it is kind of like an I Hate Hollywood movie in a lot of ways. If you read deeper into, like, are you supposed to like the main character or not? Because he's very charming in the movie. I feel bad for him a lot of the times. But I also think he's an awful human being who does awful things to other people. And I think at the end of the day, the main takeaway from this movie, I think, is like, you're the one who left, and you're the one who keeps leaving everyone behind. Meanwhile, we have family, we have a community, we have people who look out for each other. And we don't have much, but we have a lot more than you do.
Yeah, and we're not going to be your safety net when things aren't safe for you.
We're going to tell you fuck off.
Yeah.
You screwed us one too many times. And I really, like, couldn't have, like, related to this movie until this point, I think. Until having gone through everything this main character has gone through. And then to now see this movie in the perspective that I can see this movie in, as someone, like, removed from it now, and being like, yeah, this is every single one of you when you go back home for Christmas and you're like, yeah, I work in LA with my 323 area code, which you told me isn't even the area code that you should want.
It's not the one.
The 818.
Yeah, I think so. It's one of our teachers told us.
Yeah. Oh my god. As
someone who has had the 323 area code for forever, it doesn't feel like I've done or have anything special. The fact that people use that as a flex is kind of fascinating to me.
Man, the people from where I'm from go like 626 SysGV, and I'm like, oh god, you're just so lame. See, you're cringing for them and me. If you like this,
we just had this amazing conversation that, like, people at the 626 area code act hard and want to be cool like the 323 area code people.
Yes.
But me being as the most uncool of the 323 people, I just think there's nothing special about living in Koreatown.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
It's like every suburban person has this weird thing for the city, and they, like, pretend to act more street than they should. And hard than they should.
And it's funny because every single time I'm in these situations when I'm with the cool kids, I've always been not the cool person.
Yeah.
So, but then I wouldn't really care much because I don't really think it's, it was very cool to, like, hang your jeans really low.
Yeah, to rep that
lifestyle. But then, like, when I started hanging out with more people in the 626 area and I saw that this weird sort of, like, envy and all that stuff for my people's 323 peoples, I was just like, what is going on? Like, we don't even act like that. Like, they don't even act like that.
No, yeah, that's the thing. Like, most people I've met, all of your friends, all, like, the quote-unquote hood people, don't necessarily love being associated with that. But, like, everyone...
It's kind of a nuisance for them.
Yeah, but, like, everyone from where I'm from, all the suburban kids who are not cool, trying to act like they're from LA, but we're, like, from SGV. Come on, we're, like, valley folk, where we say like and a lot, and we're lame. But yeah, if you like this episode, make sure to like, jingle all our bells and buttons, check out all our other episodes to binge, and we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.